Hello, hi, my name is Shamsa Mohammed, and I will be recording. I won't be recording. I will be discussing about my presentation, and my presentation will be on women's rights in the Middle East. So, as you know, there. First of all, in the beginning, when you first hear about women's rights in the Middle East, first thought that comes to your mind, I'm sure, is they don't have any rights. Being quote unquote Muslims, they don't have any rights. And actually, that's far from the truth. These days, you have several rights that have been changed, and which I will be talking about in my presentation. So, starting off, first of all, this slide just jumped to this one, but let me just continue. So, do women have the right to vote? Absolutely. Did it take time? Yes. Are they progressing? Yes. Yes, it took a long time for women to have their rights to vote. I believe I had wrote it down. I know, like, I'm just looking back on my essay, but I know that, in America, women's rights were granted to vote in the 1920s. Middle East, their first approval was 2011. That's about, what, 9, 10 years ago. Of course, that's exceptionally sad, extremely sad that, it took so long for women to have that right to actually vote. All these years they had no say. Because, I mean, what? Voting is, in a sense, is a way of having your say, having a right as a human being. So the fact that we don't even have a right, of course, that completely tears you down, tears a person down within themselves. The fact that they can't even make a particular, answer on, a voting or whatnot. Absolutely, it's discouraging. But we have to look on the bright side, and yes, it took some time, but we are now progressing. We are now 2021, and it took, hundreds and thousands of years, but we're there. Every step is a new step towards a change in a positive way. So yes, it did take place September of 2011, and the first actual election was in 2015. So my next slide: do women have the right to drive alone? This has been one of the biggest discussions that's been captivating people across the world. Only recently did the law pass for women to be allowed to drive alone. Yes, driving alone also was the biggest issue. People were not allowed, a lot of women were not allowed to vote, not to vote, but to drive alone. And, I mean, it's sad, but there are always reasons behind it. I know I have a few family members who are from the Middle East, and they were saying how a lot of the times, men take advantage of women when they are seen alone and whatnot. So I think the reason why they, go back to that whole stigma of why women cannot drive alone is because it's like a way for them to be protected. Again, times have changed, and we're at an age and era where we're trying to progress and to be better. And yeah, the year when it finally took place for women to actually drive alone or given that actual right to get a license was in 2018. Now that was even exceptionally long. All these years, again, all these hundreds of years, it took a long time, but it was unfortunately something that had, that took place. It took a long time, but it was a stepping stone. Now, that by having that taking place in 2018, that was only specifically in the UAE. Other Arabic countries, such as Palestine, have been allowing women to drive alone for years. Palestine has allowed that. In fact, there's actually there's several women NASCAR drivers that have been driving, that have been, women NASCAR drivers that drive in NASCAR, and, they don't look at those kind of situations. They don't look at those issues as they're not as strict in like Palestine as they are in UAE, unfortunately. But hey, it's all a game. So you know. So my next slide, it's already passed, I know, but I'm just trying to go by. It was about traveling alone, women traveling alone. And yeah, women have had the biggest challenge of traveling alone. And unfortunately, that's still a challenge that a lot of women face till this day. For example, one a prime example would be for me when I recently traveled to Mecca in 2018. I went on a spiritual journey to Mecca, and one of the rules when you go on this journey, a woman is not allowed to travel alone without a man guardianship. So either her husband, her father, her brother, or her son has to travel with her if she's under the age of 40. So when I traveled, my husband couldn't come, but and my brother as well. So I had to have my immediate uncle, my mom's brother, who to attend. And when we went to travel to Saudi Arabia, he had to be my guardianship. Although it's so ironic because when we went, of course we couldn't even enter the airplane without having my uncle there. But after entering the country, women do whatever they want. They walk around to all the stores. They do all the shopping alone without any male supervision. So it's so ironic that certain rules, it's like it's put in the books, but when it's actually face to face, head on, it's not really implied. So yeah, but I know my video will be ending soon. But yeah, that was just basically my speech, and it was just basically about the women's rights. There are a lot of women's rights that have, it took a while, but we're at a great place right now. So.